What is up, Los Angeles? We are live. Welcome to LAFB Live. You may be wondering, co-host looks a little different today.
The beard
Steven's
isn't
out.
quite as thick.
Beard's a little thinner. Steven is celebrating his wife's birthday, so I'm blessed to be joined by Dan Wolkenstein, host of Chargers Unleashed, part of the LA Football Network. Dan, what's up, brother?
What is going on, man? Happy birthday to Steven's wife. Thanks for letting me sit in here for one episode. I'll try to, honor his spot as much as I can. But no, I'm good, man. I got my coffee. I'm ready to go. How are you?
I'm good. No, you'll be great. So I appreciate you stepping in. We got a third co-host, Mia. I'm sure everyone can hear. My wife's out of town, so try to do this full live set with the 1-year-old basically right underneath me. So I apologize for all the noises and baby noises, but we'll do the best we can. But yeah, excited, man. Excited to have you on. Have you done live stuff before? Or is this one of the first ones?
This is the first one. I'm excited. Can't wait to see how much I flub, to see all of the things that happen on live TV. So let's do it.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm just let's get all the Twitter people in here. So let's retweet all this good stuff. We're gonna talk schedules today. I know we're probably getting to that point now where no one wants to hear about it anymore, but we got it. It's been only 1 week, so we got a little bit more time. We can break it down. So we'll go through Rams and Chargers schedule, give both our takes, who's going to win. We'll try to look at final records. I will try to keep a tally. I meant to have a notebook here, but of course, in setting up, forgot that. But just to see what happens and what records we come to. So it should be a good time. Should be fun. Hopefully everyone's having a good Saturday and hanging out with us. But yeah, quick though, couple announcements. Dan, we got some new sponsors on the network. You wanna roll through them real quick?
Ooh, yeah, let's do it. So we have a few crazy things going on here at LA Football Network. Super excited. The newest sponsor we got, Manscaped. Promo codes all over the place. I think for you guys, it's LA Football Network or LAFB. Is that right?
LAFB 20 for us. Super simple. For you guys, just what, Unleashed?
We're just Unleashed. As long as you use one of them, doesn't matter to us. We're happy. Yeah. Save 20%. Use the code. Go to the website. You get free shipping. Brewery X, incredible beers, seltzers, you name it. We've had them quite a bit. My co-host, Jake Hefner, Slap and Tickle is his favorite. I think it's Vocabulary Roulette. That one's my favorite IPA. Garrison Brothers, legit bourbon whiskey. Yeah, man, we got quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Exciting time. So yeah, make sure to check all those out. We'll have stuff in the links and everything, and obviously scrolling across the end. But also want to say we got a couple giveaways going on before we jump into this. First, the big giveaway is you can go to either the Chargers Unleashed Twitter page or you can go to the LAFB Network Twitter page. We're both giving away VIP passes to a SoFi experience on June 5th. We all get to go hang out, tour the stadium, go on the field, go in the locker rooms. And that giveaway is for free. We're announcing what? Monday is when we're announcing, or are you guys announcing today?
We might be announcing ours today. I'm not quite sure. Going to connect with the co-hosts, but the giveaway ended yesterday, so there's nobody else that can go into it. But yeah, man, this is such a cool giveaway. I mean, I would if I was not already going, I would be clamoring to go to this. I mean, literally kicking field goals, throwing touchdowns in SoFi, going to visiting locker rooms, just chilling on the field, doing snow angels. Dude, it would be sick. Yes. Yep. No, between on the LAFB group, who do you think has the weakest arm?
Oh, geez.
It might be me.
That's a good question. Dude, I haven't. So, sorry, my daughter's she's.
I can't even hear her. She's great. It's good background music.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah, elevator music. But yeah, that's a great question. I think I'll be honest. I played football in high school. Try to stay active and stuff in college, but I can't remember the last time I actually legit threw a football. I might throw my shoulder out trying to throw it like 50 yards, and I might just legit throw it out on the first attempt.
Your shoulder might go further than the football.
Yeah, so because we got from our crew, we got me, you, your co-host Jake. I think your wife is coming. You said right?
Yep, she'll be there.
My wife might be coming. We got both Rams brothers, which is a podcast on here. They're both coming. One of the guys is flying out from New Jersey. How sick is that?
Shout out.
Our buddy Ian, who's on the network, our buddy Dan, another Dan. We got a good crew going. I don't know. I haven't physically seen a lot of these guys other than just on like Zoom calls. So that might be a good bet, be a good inside bet.
Yeah, we might have to do a little competition. So this will be fun. This will be a good thing to put a live stream on or something.
Yeah. So on the screen right now on LAFB Network's Twitter, we're still accepting entries until Monday morning. So head there. All you got to do is retweet it. You follow us on YouTube, and that's about it. And yeah, follow us, and then that'll enter. Speaking of last thing we'll talk about, AZ Bolt Gang just commented in here.
Oh,
what up, AZ Bolt Gang?
Taylor, what's going on, man?
Yeah, dude. Obviously, we don't want to get too much into. I mean, he shared it. Had a big house fire, whatever, huge tragedy. But the Bolt fam is strong. I think it's amazing what's been raised for him. And we. I know you guys have done stuff on your podcast, a bunch of stuff across just the whole Chargers Nation, and then we are also. Let me pull up on here. 2 more days of this. We have our shirt giveaway. Not really a giveaway, I guess, if you will, but we are. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Taylor and his family have been going through a lot, not just with the fire. I don't want to share this entire story. It's probably some of it's a little personal, but they've gone through a lot in their lives, and this was just kind of the icing on the cake for them. But man, the resilience that they have shown and kind of the grace they've had throughout this entire process is incredible. And the support that all of you guys and the Bolt fam have given him is so heartwarming. Like, it's overwhelming, but in the best of ways. I mean, you're seeing like Pat McAfee, you're seeing Mike Williams, you're seeing Sean Merriman. All these guys and gals all over the country, the world, helping him out. Taylor, if you're watching, I think you're out there, but happy to do anything we can to help you out, dude. You're amazing. And keep up those, when you get back in the season, I'm looking forward to those voicemails because they were hot last year.
Nice. Yeah. No, awesome stuff. Good. Well said. And that's what's the beauty of, so much bad stuff, I think, on social media nowadays. And that's kind of what gets highlighted. But this is one of the benefits. Like, here's a guy that I've never met. I don't know if you've ever met, obviously just interactions on Twitter. And here we are able to help a fellow fan out. And so we're doing on LAFB Network, this Joey Bosa shirt. Any purchases, 50% of that will go donation to him as well. So we're going to do that for 2 more days. Had quite a few sales come in, so we'll keep doing that. So head to LAFBnetwork.com, LAFB Locker Room, and you can purchase this cool Joey Bosa shirt.
Hey, man, I didn't even think of this. I mean, I thought of it, but I'm just going to buy this thing today. This looks sick.
There you go. So there you go. Help it out. So, yep, absolutely. So pumped to help you out, Taylor. So prayers up. We're all thinking of you and hoping for the best. But with that being said, should we get into the schedules?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. This is fun.
All right.
Off the top, Ryan, who do you... I don't know if we're going to get into this later, but end of the day, who's going to have the better record between these two teams? What do you think?
I think off the top, I got to go Rams just because of the continuity. Having, Sean McVay back is huge. Obviously, they lose Brandon Staley, who now is with the Chargers, but, you have your head coaches still, and that's just such a huge change when you have a full new coaching staff, and the Rams are able to keep that. And obviously, but, different quarterback. There's both teams have so much good going for them, but also a lot of change. But I just think this Rams roster right now is a little better. What about you?
Honestly, you're right. There's so much turnover, like in a good way for both teams. But no, there's so much turnover and there's so much change, but it's a coin flip. I know for the Chargers, we'll get into the schedules, but the Chargers have a gauntlet of a schedule the first half of the season, and if they can get out of that, I think that's going to be the biggest part to see how well they do. I can see them, 9, 10, maybe 11 wins. It really just depends on the quarterback and the coaching staff. That's really where I see it.
So you're like me. I think I'm very optimistic about this Chargers team. Oh, yeah. Say hi.
Hi.
Live show, live production. Just jump on in here.
What does she think? What does she think about the Rams?
Yeah, what do you think? Who do you think's gonna be better, Rams or Chargers this year? Oh, now you're gonna be shy. Okay.
She's like, let them sleep. Let them sleep.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, I just think this Charger. I don't know. It's hard because the Chargers team has so much going for them, but I think we also need to temper expectations, obviously, just because of so much change, so much new. Like if this team wins 7-8 games, I don't think people should freak out, and it's just the first season, but I really do believe they can win 11-12 games. I really think they can if they get the pieces together, if this off-season program, because we still don't really know exactly what everything's going to look like. It'll be better than last year, but we don't know for sure if it's all going to be, full go.
Yeah.
So we'll find out. But it should be fun. And like you said, with the Chargers gauntlet at the beginning, the Rams have a gauntlet at the end of their schedule, which we will get to. So
I've got a feeling that by the time this, like right around like week 8, week 9, there's gonna be all kinds of like LA banter where the Chargers might not be having the greatest of records and the Rams are sitting pretty, and it's gonna kind of have this like flip where all of a sudden the schedules get a little opposite. Schedules get easier on one team, harder on the other, and all of a sudden they might come back down to earth or go up to earth.
I agree. I totally agree. I think that's gonna it'll be like a teeter totter, if you will. So let's start with let's go Chargers first. We'll go week by week for each team. Walk me through this Washington football game.
Honestly, when this first came out, you saw a lot of Chargers fans who are like, "Oh, sweet, pencil in a win. We're pumped. We're ready to go." Folks are sleeping on this defense on the Washington football team, arguably the best D-line in the country.
Yep.
This is not going to be an easy game. First game of not Joe Burrow. First game of Chase Young versus Rashawn Slater. And we all saw how that worked out in college. I'm sure Chase Young remembers, so there's going to be a little chip on their shoulder. It's going to be a tough matchup. For an offensive line that was just revamped, every single position has improved. This is arguably the toughest test right out the gate. It's going to be a tough one. The offensive line for the Chargers can't be any worse than it was last year. But this Washington football team is no joke on defense. I think the storyline is going to be the trenches. If the Chargers offensive line can hold up, honestly, if the Chargers offensive line can hold up just as good as they did last year on average, I think the Chargers got a good chance to win. But this defensive line scares the bejesus out of me.
I like this game a lot, and this Washington team is one of my sleeper teams in the NFC. I know everyone thought it was a joke. They made the playoffs at 7-9 last year, but they had super inconsistent offensive play. They had, horrible quarterback play. I don't even think people remember Dwayne Haskins was the starter at one point. Everyone remembers Alex Smith, who comeback player of the year, but really didn't play great as a quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick is no world beater, but he's going to give them some consistency. And if people remember, every year he starts off like guns blazing. Those first 6 weeks, he's like an MVP candidate, and then he kind of comes back down to earth. So this game, I honestly have it chalked up as a loss for the Chargers just because of how good Washington being on the road. The Chargers have so much new stuff coming in that they're implementing. We already mentioned it, just, coaching staff, offensive line, new receivers, some new defensive backs, new installs, so much. And for your first week to go against a playoff team, regardless of what the record was, I think it's going to be tough. So if they can get a win, I'll be ecstatic. If they get a loss, I'm not going to be shocked. I think it's gonna be tough. So what do you have them winning or losing?
We haven't even gotten into predictions yet. I'm a little scared to even get into that. We haven't gone deep into it. My initial instinct is having them as a win, but it's not. It's going to be close. It's okay. I don't know. That's
we'll
tough.
Just leave it at that. We'll do predictions. Give it another month or so. Okay. So now let's go Rams week 1. I'm going to have to we'll see how well I do this just back and forth. They got the Bears. So I don't know how close you've followed the Rams or whatnot, but I'm going to test your knowledge here on today's show.
I love it.
I'll start this. I'll give you some time. This is like the 4th trilogy. I guess it's not what's the word for 4? Has there ever been a 4-movie set?
Quadrilogy.
Obviously. A quadrilogy?
Sure.
A quadrilogy? Quadrilogy. Let's go with that. Quadrilogy. So this is the 4th time they face in 4 years. Rams. Or no, is this the 5th time? No, it's the 4th time. Yeah, they're 2-1, I believe. Won the last 2. Is it going to be Andy Dalton? Is it going to be Justin Fields? I really don't think it matters regardless. I think Justin Fields might be the more exciting, obviously, player after getting drafted in the first round, but his first game ever as an NFL starter has to go against Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and that vaunted, Rams defense. So I like the Rams in that case. Yes, it's Matthew Stafford's first game, but, he's a 12-year veteran. I think he's going to be just fine, even though he's got to learn some new things. He's got a lot of new toys to play with here in L.A. McVay's going to be fired up to get his new quarterback out there. He's probably going to pass it 40 times in his first game just to prove what he's been missing. I see Tutu Atwell with a big 60-yard touchdown in his first game ever in the NFL.
Go.
So I don't see a high-scoring game because all these 3 games that they've played so far have been kind of they've been kind of boring, to be honest, in my opinion. but I do see some fireworks coming from the LA side, and I like the Rams in this one.
This is a fun one, and I think a lot of folks forget like this Bears defense is not bad either. And
Correct.
their offense is what has been hindering them. Their quarterback play has just been awful. Now, Andy Dalton isn't terrible. Like, he's okay. Justin Fields, you never know. And if you think back to last year, the Chargers got Joe Burrow week 1. Thankfully. And he still torched us for a bit. So just because it's a rookie quarterback doesn't mean they're not going to ball out. I do like Tutu Atwell a lot. This Rams defense has lost a few folks in the secondary that have gone to Cleveland. They've lost Brandon Staley. But Matthew Stafford is an obvious upgrade at quarterback. You got tons of weapons. Cam Akers is a stud. Love him. Yeah. I think this is a win for you guys. Either way, regardless of the quarterback situation in Chicago, I think you're winning this.
Yeah, I think the Bears are going to be a good team, and the NFC North has so much question mark, especially with the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, which we don't need to get into. That's a whole episode right there. But there's just a lot in flux to that division. So the Bears end up being division champs. I think the Vikings are going to be a lot better. But I just think as it sits right now, going into week 1, the Rams are just a much better football team.
Yeah, and they got a better football team, better coach, better stars.
Yeah, agreed. Better coach for sure. I think that's the outlier right there. All right, back to the. I guess we could have just gone like snake format, so I don't have to keep switching screens. But I already did it. So we'll go back to the Chargers, the home opener against the Cowboys, which it's going to be a fantastic game.
Dude,
I know there's going to be the narrative about opposing fans because the Cowboys travel, but my hope is, and me and you talked a little bit about this. This is the first game at SoFi for Chargers fans allowed through the doors. I think they're going to show out. You kind of convinced me of that, but talk to me about this game.
Yep, got this. The Chargers and Chargers fans have been waiting arguably 4 years, literally, for this game. And you hear all about the narratives of the Chargers have no fans, and they get all the opposing folks, and blah, 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 blah. The Chargers hit the jackpot with SoFi. They hit the jackpot with their quarterback. They hit the jackpot with their new coach. Crush it on the draft. And this fan base is, like, frothing to see this team live.
Yep.
And you see it. I want to say there's something like 55,000 season tickets that are already sold.
Love it.
For this game, or for this season.
Yeah.
And this Cowboys game, yes, you mentioned it. They travel well. I'm going to be at this game. I was there. They actually had pre-sale tickets on this for season ticket holders. Within 10 minutes, the entire thing was sold out. You can't get a seat in the house. It was insane. This game, you're going to see Chargers fans have shown up. I'm sure they're going to be Cowboys fans. I get it. And I'm sure they're going to be some Chargers fans that want to sell a couple tickets. The large majority.
A lot of money.
Yes, a lot of money. Yeah. The large majority of this is going to be Chargers fans that are so excited. And this is a pivotal game for the franchise as a whole. Yeah. If they can somehow, doesn't matter how, if they can somehow get out of this game with a victory, the sky is the limit. But if the Chargers somehow lose week 1, then lose week 2, the narrative flips quickly.
Yeah.
So this is a very big home opener. But I think it's going to be electric. That is going to be so much fun. Might have to do some live streaming from there. And also, it's a juicy matchup. Dak Prescott, finally off of injury, got paid. Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. I mean, this is a fun one.
Yeah.
I'm betting the over on everything. I bet the over on touchdowns, yards, I don't know, hot dogs I'm eating. Like, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. It's hard because in the last year when Brandon Staley was the D coordinator for the Rams, you never won if you bet the over just because the defense was so good and the Rams offense kind of struggled. So we'll see how this Chargers defense shows out right out the gate. And it's funny because the Rams last year, I don't know if you knew this or remember this, they opened their season against the Cowboys and Washington, and now the Chargers, where Staley opens his season against Washington and the Cowboys, just reversed. So I just thought of that literally right now, man. It's kind of ironic, kind of strange, but Yeah, I think you're right though. I think fans are going to show out. It's just been a long time coming, and the tickets have sold great. And like, yeah, you can make a quick buck, but this is a more about your fan hidden experience that you want to experience this mecca for the first time. Maybe if this was year 5 in SoFi, then yeah, they'd sell and make $1,000 on each ticket. But this is first time ever seeing it. Everyone wants to see it. The game itself, I actually like the Chargers in this one just because Dak coming off that gruesome injury. I think it's going to take some time for him to get back feeling comfortable. With the pass rush the Chargers can get with Brandon Staley's system, they're going to be coming quick and fast at him. And I'm not saying he's going to have happy feet, but I think it's going to take him a few weeks to really get comfortable back, playing back there and feeling really good about his knees. So, yeah, I just like the Chargers, and I agree with you though. If they start 0-2, this thing's going to get ugly fast, at least in the media and the fan side of it. I think the team will be fine, but they need it for sure. If I have them losing against Washington, they need to win this one against the Cowboys, which I think they will.
And honestly, this Cowboys defense was horrendous last year, and awful. you could tell by the fact that I think they had like 6 of their 7 picks this year all went to the defense, like 6 in a row, all went defensive side. Their defense was awful. They're going to be better this year. I still don't see it as being a great defense.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see Micah Parsons at all pass rush against Rashawn Slater. Pick 12, pick 13.
Yep.
Let's see it. So
thank you so much, Dallas, for getting Micah Parsons before us, so we could have got Rashawn Slater. Appreciate
what a blessing that was. What a blessing that was. Of course, I don't know if you can hear. My daughter left for a while, then she just grabbed the noisiest toy and came back in here. But I think she's walking. I gave her my phone, and then she just disappeared for a while, so I have no idea what she's been doing.
Is she watching like Good Morning Football or something?
Probably, yeah. That's all she does is anything football related is what she does. So, okay, this next Rams game at Indy, I'm trying to actually go to it. I have a buddy of mine who is his 2 teams are the Rams and the Colts. He was a diehard Colts fan, but he lives here in LA. So when the Rams move here, he's like, you know what? I want to support the local team. I'll be a Rams fan too. But he like grew up being a Colts fan. So those are just 2 teams. So we both are trying to go out to this game. But this is going to be an interesting matchup because how is Carson Wentz going to be? Is he going to be the Carson Wentz we saw 2 or 3 years ago where he was, MVP caliber? Is he going to be the Carson Wentz of last year where he was arguably the worst quarterback in the entire NFL? I think he has the skill set. He has a talent. He has the measurables. Mentally, though, will he get back? I think having Frank Reich back on his corner will certainly help. But this offensive line is nothing to mess with. They have some great weapons on offense. Their defense is very, very underrated. Their coach was a guy that was a hot name in the head coaching circles, also interviewed with the Chargers in Eberflus. So it's a good team. The Colts never really get a lot of love, but Phillip Rivers was there last year. Obviously, Chargers fans know well. They went to the playoffs, and I think this is another playoff team, and it'll be a tough matchup for the Rams.
Yeah, this Colts team is hard. I mean, I think this is another one where it's all going to depend on the quarterback play. You have no idea what Carson Wentz is going to bring. I actually like Carson Wentz. I thought this was a sneaky good acquisition for them.
Yeah, I agree.
That offense is built to win, and the defense is stellar. If they can get, they just got Izzy Mukwamu, who we had on our show earlier in the year. They're ready to go. Micah Parsons was, he could have gone. He could have gone. Dallas took him, but that could have been a great fit there.
Yeah,
I really.
Cool. Him and Darius Leonard. Whew,
oh my goodness. Yeah, but like I think Michael Pittman is a fantastic young receiver. They got T.Y. Hilton. They're good to go. This is going to be a tough matchup for you guys. I think this is going to really depend on if Indy's offense can move against your defense, because their defense is lights out. Their defense is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and it's going to be. I think this is a game where the Rams need to, if they're going to throw it 40 plus times in Week 1 against Chicago, they need to run the rock 30 plus times in this one. They need to control the clock, keep the Indy's offense off the field, because the Rams defense, after finishing first in the league last year, they lost a lot of pieces, obviously including the defensive coordinator. So we don't really know exactly. They're going to be good still. Like I think they're still going to be a top 5, top 7 unit, but how big is that drop off going to be, if any? And how many young rookie guys are going to be thrust into starting roles? We saw them take players in the draft, Bobby Brown in the 4th round, who I think is going to have a real heavy impact on the defensive line because of who they lost there. Ernest Jones, the linebacker, could be starting day 1 as an inside linebacker. So going to be a lot of young guys right off the bat. And so we're going to see how they really are able to adjust and if they can maintain that top dog mentality. And so for me in this game, I think the Rams. It's going to be a good matchup, but I like the Rams. But it's going to be about the running game and Cam Akers. I think that's how they'll get the job done. So let's move on. Let's just snake it, so I don't have to switch screens so much. So we'll stick with the Rams. I'll let you start. Super Bowl champs come to LA. Brady and the Bucks. Rams beat them last year with Jared Goff. Now they have Matt Stafford, but they've lost pieces, and the Bucks have lost nobody. Who do you like?
Amazing how the Bucks can win everything. Everyone talks about how they're in cap hell. They're not going to be able to sign all these people. Blink an eye, and every single person comes back. Mm-hmm. It's insane. The team is loaded. I think they're the favorites to win it all this year. It's going to be a tough... This is tough sledding. They are at home, which is nice against the Bucks, so I guess that makes it a little bit easier for you.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
All year last year, I'll be the first to say I did not believe in the Bucks. I thought they were a good team. Obviously, on paper, have phenomenal talent, but I just really didn't believe they were the team. And then obviously, they went on to beat the Super Bowl, or win the Super Bowl. What I will say about them, though, and they will be better this year because of the continuity. During the regular season last year, Tampa Bay only beat one team with a winning record. They were 1-5 against teams with winning records. So they had a fairly easy go going 7-9 the year before. They got a fairly easy schedule. And then even in the playoffs, they were fortunate enough to face the 7-9 Washington football team as their first opponent. So still not a team over 500. But then obviously, they beat the Saints and they beat the Packers en route to beating the Chiefs. So they had a very good run there at the end. So I'm not taking anything away from how good the team is. But I think that maybe it's hard to say overblown because they won the whole thing, but I think they're not an unbeatable team, and the Rams proved that last year by beating them in Tampa, even though Jared Goff had two interceptions. They were just awful, and they still were able to win. They were in Brady's face off him. Jordan Fuller, as a rookie, had 2 interceptions that game. So as long as they can keep pressure on Brady and get after him, it's going to be a very good game. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I like him to win. I'm not ready to do that yet, but either way, it's going to be a good one. And, anytime you play the Super Bowl champs, everyone gets up for it. I'm actually really surprised this isn't a primetime game, but the Rams did get 5 other primetime games, so they can't play them all on primetime.
That's insane. And the thing that really upset me with this Bucks team is they got one of the guys that I think my co-host Jake and we loved, and he was pumping his fist for this guy all offseason during draft talk. Jalen Darden going to the Bucks is just unfair.
Yeah.
And then Joe Tryon, who is fantastic. A bit raw, but fantastic. Yeah. And just his raw skills alone are going to do well. The rich get richer.
I know.
But look, you're right. The style that they played in terms of their opponents is almost identical to what life was like for the Patriots for a decade in that division. They feasted on subpar opponents in their own division, got to the playoffs, rolled through. It's basically the same thing now.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's kind of like they're that team all year. You're like, I don't know if I really believe in them. And then there they go. They go on and win. So, all right. Heading back to the Chargers now for, what are we on, week 4? Or I think we're on week 4.
I think we're on week 3. I think we're on 3 for us.
Oh, okay. We're chugging along very slowly here. So we'll, yeah.
I'll pick it up. Week 3, we get to go against the defending AFC champions in the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a tough matchup going into Arrowhead. The thing about this game, and Chargers fans have heard this for a couple years now, with Derwin James, this game is not nearly as scary as without. Derwin James makes this game so much more tolerable. He essentially can kind of cancel out Travis Kelce by himself. Drew Tranquil healthy, Kenneth Murray healthy. There's a lot of speed that we got on this team for this type of game specifically. Asante Samuel, I think, matches up very well against this team. Put him on Tyreek underneath, good to go. Now, I don't want him going high because I think he could get blown by, but put him underneath, you're good to go. This is going to be probably one of my favorite games of the season. If healthy, this is a juicy, juicy matchup, obviously. Patrick Mahomes going up against his defensive line, who has gotten revamped. Our offensive line going up against them, who their defensive line always plays hard. The Honey Badger always comes to play against us.
Yep.
It'll be fun to see what Brandon Staley's defensive scheme is against the Chiefs game. against this Chiefs team. Because
So
we're so used to Gus Bradley, cover 2, vanilla, just let them, death by 1,000 cuts. It's going to literally be the opposite of that. And I think that's what is so exciting for this Chargers fan base is like, okay, we're actually having a chance to be unpredictable for like a hot minute. Like this, what is this? This is a whole new world.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that'll be fun. Surprisingly, even with Gus Bradley's vanilla, that they've been one of the few teams that have at least decently been able to slow down the Chiefs. The other teams have been, Vic Fangio's defenses, which obviously Brandon Staley takes a lot from that. So I think that'll be something to watch for and what they're able to do. And obviously a lot of teams are going to try to copycat what the Buccaneers did in the Super Bowl. I don't think that'll be as easy to do that considering the Chiefs totally revamped their offensive line. But like the Chargers, there's going to need to be some continuity there. They have literally, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but I think they have 4 out of 5 new pieces. Is that correct?
I know it's at least 3. I mean, they
released both tackles and they got a new center. So I know for sure it's 3. And I think they get Duvernay Tardif back, who didn't play last year. So he's still got to play with those new guys. And then maybe they have a returning guard. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they drafted Creed Humphrey.
Who's a baller.
Yeah, I know. Another thing, like, how did Creed Humphrey fall to them in the second round?
Yep. And then who did they get? Was it Joe Thuney? Is that their star that they got?
Joe Thuney, yeah. So, yeah, another new. So, yeah, they have 4 out of 5 new pieces. And the 5th guy didn't even play last year. So, basically 5 new offensive linemen, which it will be a better unit. But by week 3, this is a time for the Chargers to really pounce because there's going to be some growing pains there too with their offensive lines. So this is an opportunity for Bosa and Uchenna Nwosu and some of these new guys to really sink their teeth in and get after Mahomes, and hopefully we see a repeat of what happened in the Super Bowl.
Yep. And then back to back coming up. I think this is our first primetime matchup against the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Monday Night Football. We had Matt Money Smith on, and this is one of the games that I think is going to showcase how important it is for this offensive line and the upgrade it had. Matt Money Smith talked about it. The difference in offensive line play of last year versus this year is going to be night and day, and is arguably the most important acquisition or improvement we had all season. Last year, you can arguably say the offensive line was the worst in the NFL. If this team can go from the worst in the NFL, hell, it doesn't even have to be a top 5, top 10. If it can go from 32nd to 15, 16.
Even 20.
That is a massive, massive improvement. And that is so impactful for games like this in your division, going against folks who are just wanting to pin their ears back. This game is going to be epic. I think this is a Monday night game at home against the Raiders. Amped up for this one. The Raiders, I have no idea what they're doing on their offensive line. Like, I don't get it. That was I felt like one of their only strengths was their offensive line. They blew that up.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what they're doing with their draft picks. They drafted like 16,000 defensive backs. I mean,
I don't know what they're doing, period.
At least they know they play in Las Vegas. That's a good one, I guess.
When Gruden got there, and they and Mike Mayock, who I love that NFL Network, but I think he's been a very questionable GM.
I love an NFL Network.
Yeah, they've done a lot of things. You're like, okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but they're smart guys. Maybe they'll work out on the field, and then it just hasn't. So I think we're fair to now criticize and be like, yeah, I don't think they do know what they're doing because they've done it now for 3 years, and they've revamped things a lot every single year, and it hasn't worked. So they're a team that I think last year I felt like, that could be maybe a sleeper team. And then seeing the performance, I think this year I'm like, no, I think they're going to be bottom of the AFC West. I think Denver's much better. If you mentioned if the Chargers offensive line can go from 32 to 15, if Denver's quarterback can go from 32 to 20, they'll be a playoff contending team. So I think they're better. Obviously the Chargers are better, and obviously the Chiefs are the cream of the crop. So great game because Monday Night Football at home against the Raiders, but I like the Chargers in this one. But it's a division game, so anyone can beat anyone any given Monday, I guess, in this instance. So, what are we, back to the Rams now?
Back to the Rams.
Okay. All right. That was good. Moved it along a little better. Appreciate that. Once I get going, bro,
Hey, I'm the same way. I could talk about these Chargers for too long.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, the schedules line up very well. So we go back-to-back division games here for the Rams, at home against Arizona. Arizona's a sneaky team. Last year, they at one point I want to say they were 6-2, looked like a playoff contender, and then lost like 5 straight. Just really fell apart. Kyler Murray wasn't totally healthy. Their offensive line was kind of in shambles. Defense was very inconsistent. For me with the Cardinals, they have a great roster. Their biggest question mark is Cliff Kingsbury. Like, is he the real deal as their head coach? And that's going to be kind of the deciding factor of if they actually are a playoff team or not. But on paper, they're a very good team, and they certainly will give Rams trouble more this year than they did last year. Rams have, I think, Sean McVay's record is 8-0 against the Cardinals since he's been the head coach of the Rams. So he'll try to continue that this year. But yeah, on paper, they're a great team, but I'll believe it once I see it on the field.
Yeah, on paper, they have like that Madden squad that you put together. Like, look at their wide receiver roster. I mean, they got AJ Green, they've got DeAndre Hopkins, and I forget who the third one is. But their wide receiver core is sick.
Yeah, they got Christian
Kyler
Kirk,
Murray,
drafted.
Christian Kirk. Kyler Murray's a stud. They got Isaiah Simmons, who's really started to heat up last year at the end of the season. Then they go out and get Zaven Collins, Rondale Moore, who I think is going to be electric for that team. I mean, the you're right. The Cardinals kind of remind me of a kind of similar to the Chargers, where like on paper, you hear that term all the time. On paper, they look great.
Yeah,
they're a fun team to watch. This will be a good game. This is a toss-up for me for you guys.
Yeah, it's a division game, and like I said, at some point McVay has to lose to Cliff Kingsbury. I hope not, but at some point you would think. But then again, the Chiefs have been doing it to the AFC West for years now too. So hopefully they'll keep it on. But I think either way, it'll be a good one. So moving on to Seattle. These are always, I feel like it's split almost every year with these two teams. We haven't heard a lot about Russell Wilson lately. I know there was a lot of talk a few months ago that he wanted out, and there were maybe some trade offers, and then there weren't. But as of now, he's the guy, and as long as he's the guy, Seattle's going to be a contender, and they're a team to reckon with. Still didn't improve the offensive line. They had like 3 draft picks total in this year's draft, so they didn't do much to change much. But the biggest thing in this game is Jalen Ramsey with DK Metcalf. That's the storyline that everyone wants to see. Oof. And as long as those two guys are on the field together, it's fun to watch, and it's primetime television, which it actually is a primetime game. It's a Thursday night game. So I still think the Niners are the biggest rival for the Rams, but Seattle's a very close second because of the heatedness, and they've met each other in the playoffs many times now. So it's going to be a good one.
The Seahawks, man, they're always a fun team to watch, and it's weird how you've seen them kind of change from this vaunted defense and offense kind of just getting carried to the opposite, where the defense, you don't know what they're doing. The Seahawks have
another bird.
Arguably, top 3, top 5 quarterback in the NFL. That's going to carry them far. I think did they get Eskridge, I believe?
They did. Dwayne Eskridge was one of their 3 draft picks, yeah.
And that was another one. That was another one of the darlings that we talked about during our draft prospects on Chargers Unleashed.
Before the Rams took Tutu Atwell, so there's a speculation that was the Rams guy, but
I wouldn't be shocked
all along. But yeah,
anyway. It's gonna be a fun game. This is going to be. Is it at yeah, it is. Hey, 12th man always shows up.
Yep.
The coin will flip heads one of these times. It's gotta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So last year, I love how it ended. Last year was the second to last game of the season. Seahawks beat the Rams. That was when Jared Goff broke his thumb. Jamal, I want to say Jamal Murray, he plays for the Nuggets, but Jamal Adams was, talking crap after the game and, send him home and all this. And then Rams beat the Seahawks 2 weeks later in the playoffs, sent them home, sent them to Cabo. So there's a lot of fun storylines here, and it's a division game, so it's always a good rivalry, but that'll be fun to watch.
Do you think long-term Russell Wilson stays?
I do. As long as Pete Carroll's there, Frosty and I talked about this a lot. There's no way Pete Carroll, who is now, I believe, 74, 73 years old, he's probably got, maybe 70. I doubt he coaches past 80. I would assume he probably has 2 or 3 years left. There's no way a guy like that has a playoff contending team every year wants to start over with either a rookie quarterback or a second, because you're not going to upgrade from Russell Wilson. So as long as he's there, Russell Wilson will be there. If he retires, and there's still some contentment, then I could see them maybe dealing Russ and kind of starting over and rebuilding with a new coach. But as long as Pete's there, Russ will be there.
Yep, agreed. And honestly, Russell isn't going to be getting a better coach than Pete Carroll.
Yeah, right?
There's no way. And also, Pete Carroll's like 74 going on 26. It's amazing.
No, you're right about that. Maybe he will coach to like 90. Maybe he'll be like Marv Levy, who coached till he was like 85 or something with the Bills. So,
yep.
Sorry, this little one.
No, you're good. So we're going back to the Browns here. So this is actually...
I think this is the game of the year, in my opinion.
Yep. So Browns have shown up. They had a phenomenal draft, phenomenal free agency. Took a couple of your Rams folks on the defensive secondary. This team is going to go as far as Baker Mayfield lets them go. In my opinion, he is going to be kind of the thing that holds them back. Their receiving core stud. They have a ridiculous defense. I mean, Owusu-Koramoah fell to them because of heart condition. They've got Clowney. They've got Garrett. I mean, that defensive line is sick. I mean, this is one of those teams, on paper, they're going to show up, and this is kind of one of those star-studded, and it's so weird to say that this game, I wouldn't be, I was surprised this was not a primetime game.
Shocked, dude, honestly.
But this is going to be
the Browns might have the best roster in the AFC. I mean, I know the Chiefs... Browns should have beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. They can give that fourth down play. And then what they added in the offseason, you already mentioned it all. So this is going to be – I talked about it on my show yesterday, this crazy little girl. But I talked about it on my show yesterday. I think if the Chargers can just compete in this game, like if they win, stoked. Like that might be their signature win of the season. But if they at least compete and look good and keep it to a one-possession game, then that's when I say, aha, yeah, this Chargers team has something, and I think they'll be good in the future. So love this game, though. Next, travel to Baltimore, keeping the AFC North.
Baltimore Ravens, I believe the last time we played them was when we took the playoff game away from them in Baltimore. Chinendu Osu came in and strip sacked with like 20 seconds left. Baltimore always drafts well. This is going to be a fun game. Again, this is kind of the end of the gauntlet of the first 6 weeks for the Chargers, where they go up against every one of these teams, other than potentially the Cowboys, even the Cowboys. Every one of them could be a playoff team, except maybe the Raiders. I think 5 of 6 of these teams could be playoffs. Going up against Lamar Jackson, this is why the Chargers went and got the guys they did on defense. You want speed, you want agility, you want quickness, sideline to sideline. Baltimore Ravens, that's what they do. Lamar Jackson is just a freak. Going to be a tough game. I mean, another early one. Going to be tough. Again.
Have they played since they beat them in the playoffs, Lamar Jackson's rookie year?
I don't believe so, because I think that was 2 years ago when that happened.
Yeah.
I don't think they played them last year.
Ago, I think, because it was Lamar's rookie year, so... Baltimore will be looking for redemption. I know it was a long time ago, but they knocked them out of the playoffs. So that was their 12-4 season. Phil's last good year here in LA. So Baltimore's always a fun game to watch just because they do things so differently on offense. But it'll be a tough game for sure. That's a tough stretch, man. Browns, Ravens. Yeah,
if we can get out of week 6 at 500, the Chargers are sitting pretty for the rest of the season, because you'll see coming up the schedule isn't that bad as you continue on. There's juicy matchups, but there's matchups that we should be able to, in theory, take home.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So then you get the Rams going to the New York Giants in week 6. Won't spend too much time on this one. This should be a win. I think the Giants are going to be an improved team. I think Joe Judge is a fairly good coach, at least by building culture-wise and whatnot. So, is Danny Dimes the real deal? Is he a real franchise quarterback? I think this will be the year that he proves that yes or no. But they added Kenny Golladay. They added some weapons for him. Did improve the defense a little bit in the draft. Dave Gettleman actually drafted or traded down, which is unheard of for him as a GM. So, but overall, this should be a win for the Rams. They're just a better team. And they played them last year, and the G-Men played them close last year. But the Rams came up with a win, and now they have an upgraded quarterback. So,
yep. Honestly, this should be a win for you guys. The Giants are going to be better than last year, but their floor was not that high last year. So I think you guys should be able to take this one. I got the Rams win this one.
Yeah. So next against Detroit, this is a a surprisingly fun matchup. I circled this on my show. I didn't do all schedule. I just picked my 5 games I'm looking forward to most. And this was one I circled. And I thought to myself, talking out loud, I was like, when is the last time anyone ever said the Detroit Lions is a game I'm looking forward to on the schedule? Has anyone ever said that?
Nope, not me. Never came out of my mouth.
I don't think so. But I did so because it's, the storylines of Jared Goff returning to SoFi, Matthew Stafford playing his former team, Brad Holmes, the former Rams, director of scouting, is now the GM of the Lions. So a lot of storylines here. Lions aren't going to be a good team. They're in full rebuild mode, but they'll be hungry for this game for sure. Jared Goff's going to want to prove stuff against his former team, against the home fans. I think he'll get cheered. He brought the Rams to a Super Bowl. There shouldn't be any bad blood. He was great in the community. He didn't leave on his bad terms. The team traded him away. So I think the fans should give him a good standing ovation, and then the Rams go out there and win by 20.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. The Lions they now have the Chargers ex head coach as their offensive coordinator. They got Anthony Lynn. They went and drafted Penny Sewell, which good for them. Smart pick. They actually got one of the better corners. I think I got him in like the the very end of the third round, I believe, which was Ifeatu Melifonwu. Love him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a baller from USC. We all know him very well. I kind of like the Rams. I'm curious to see what their kind of, scheme is going to look like. Their defense is a little questionable in my opinion, but I think the Rams got this one too. I agree.
I mean, if they lose this game, Sean McVay is going to get a lot of heat because it's the quarterback he wanted and traded away and then just lost to him. So I know it's one game, so it won't really matter, but he'll certainly get a lot of heat if they lose this game. So this will be one that they need to win. So, all right, jump back to Chargers. We're moving along.
So
live show with the 1-year-old is very challenging, by the way.
I gotta say, props to you. This is the easy one. Easy one. Week 7.
The bye.
Week 8 Halloween matchup against the Patriots. Belichick and crew come to SoFi. Look, the Patriots certainly got
last year.
I was gonna say the Patriots certainly got better than last year. They took our guy Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, but they did lose Julian Edelman, who I think is more important than both of those guys.
Yeah.
Curious to see what happens with the quarterback situation there with Cam Newton and the one they drafted.
Yep. Mac Jones.
I don't necessarily... I forget where I heard this. I don't necessarily think that the Patriots are going to be that much better. I don't see Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith being like the difference maker that all of a sudden puts their team from, the 500 team all of a sudden like playoff contender. I don't see it. I think they paid a ton of money for guys that they're not necessarily stars. Like, they're good players. But their cap situation, because of that, I don't think it's good. The Chargers shouldn't lose this game. If we're just being honest, they shouldn't lose. This should be a win.
And what happened last year, 45-0, worst loss in franchise history. I know it's a new coaching staff, but the players don't forget. So they're going to come out and they're going to play, I think, a lot better. And I agree. I think on a Halloween, Cam Newton or Mac Jones, whoever it is, going to be seeing ghosts out there as his defense just gets after it. And I think Justin Herbert, who had probably his worst game of his young career against this New England team, them and Miami were probably his 2 worst games last year, bounces back too. So yeah, I like the Chargers in this one.
And honestly, and quickly, the Chargers game against the Patriots last year was probably the biggest sign of how poorly this team executed. And I think that's a sign of the coaching staff. Anthony Lynn was a great person. Everyone loves him. But they got thoroughly outcoached in every phase of that game. It was not even close. And it wasn't because of talent. I mean, They lost to this Patriots team who was not good last year.
No.
They got shut out.
A Patriots team that, didn't score a touchdown against the Broncos, and a Patriots team that got walloped the very next week against the Rams.
Brutal.
So
absolutely brutal.
It was a bad game. Just a week to forget. All right, then they I guess because the bye, we got to go back to the Rams here. So, let's get back over to the week 8 now for the Rams. At Houston. This should be a blowout. Houston's in full rebuild. I really don't know how Cole is going to be as a head coach. Seems to be a guy that they like and respected around the league. Is Deshaun Watson playing quarterback at this point? Is Tyrod Taylor playing quarterback at this point? You know, what they added a bunch of veterans on 1-year deals, but we don't really know. They didn't have a lot of draft picks, so they traded them all away. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this one. The Rams should blow this team out.
Quick question on this one. Over under 9.5%. Deshaun Watson plays a single snap this season.
Oh, man. I'm going to go over. So 9.5%. That's what you're putting the over under?
Yep.
I'm going to go over. There's this. You hear some people say that sources that he will not play this year. And you hear others, and then you see reports about, now there's like settlements being talked about. Then you hear those are defunct. You hear that sides haven't even spoken. Who knows? I don't know, man. I'm going to say over, but I'm not very confident saying over. Maybe 10%.
You're riding that line.
Yeah, exactly. By the points, I guess.
Got it. Cool.
Do you think he's playing?
No, I don't.
Don't. Okay. Well, then this will definitely be a blowout, even more so. So.
Yep, easy win. Chalk it up. You're good.
Yeah. Moving on. Whether he plays or not, should be an easy win. Tennessee playoff team. New coach Arthur Smith. I know some people liked him for the Chargers job. Oh no, Arthur Smith was their OC. He is now gone to Atlanta. Excuse me. Same coach, Mike Vrabel. But a team that was very bad defensively should be better this year. But Ryan Tannehill, has resurged his career there. It's Sunday night football game, so primetime game. Tennessee's one of those weird teams where they never scare me, but they've been good the last few years. So I still like the Rams, especially it's at home also. As long as they can slow down Derrick Henry, and this is the point in the season where we'll have to see how this defensive line is playing, because Michael Brockers is a huge loss, who they traded. I didn't even mention him against Detroit. He's on Detroit as well, a guy coming back home for that game. So Michael Brockers is huge in the run game and stopping the run. So how will Bobby Brown, play in his stead? How will some of these guys step up? And against Derrick Henry, the biggest back in the league, that'll be the big storyline there.
Yep, and I was actually watching the draft, and this was probably one of my favorite prospects in the entire draft. They picked up my favorite prospect in Caleb Farley, who I think was, a lot of people thought was kind of a risk at 22. Man, Caleb Farley is the best corner in this draft if healthy. Dude's a freak. Tennessee they always play everyone tough. Yeah. And I believe Ryan Tannehill was actually the best fantasy quarterback in the entire NFL last year, surprisingly.
Yeah, something weird like that. Or he had higher efficiency than Pat Mahomes. He had a bunch of weird stats that were damn.
It was wild. This team, they lost a bunch of guys. They did have some depth issues, but they're a tough team. They always play tough. They're not going to get blown out by anyone. So I don't necessarily think this is going to be an easy game for you.
No, definitely not an easy game. At this point in the season, week 9, we'll kind of start seeing these teams' true colors. But this is going to be, smash mouth football. Aaron Donald against Derrick Henry, and we'll see who comes out on top. By this point, at least Matt Stafford will be in full form, and this offense should be high flying. So, yeah, I agree with you. Caleb Farley, risky pick at 9, great pick at 22.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they had a pretty sneaky good draft, too. I mean, they got Dylan Radins, who I was actually surprised that fell to 53. Elijah Molden, the second corner, I think he's awesome. They got him at a great value. Rashad Weaver, I was actually really high on him. I really like him coming out of Pittsburgh. The dude was a stud.
Tough game.
That's a tough team. That's a tough game.
Yeah. Are they the favorites in the AFC North or AFC South, you think? Or is it Indy? Definitely not Houston.
No, definitely not. Definitely not Miami. I don't think it's Miami. Wait, Miami's a different team. Sorry. I would say, honestly, the Cardinals. Wow, I'm all over the place. The Colts are totally a wild card, and it all depends on their quarterback.
Yep.
If their quarterback's good, they're winning the division. Not even close, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, it'll be interesting. So we'll see. All right, back to the Chargers. So traveling week 9 out east to Philadelphia. Philly's another interesting team. I like Nick Sirianni. I thought he was during the beginning of the process, he was a guy that I really liked as a head coaching candidate. Since being hired, I've maybe gotten a little more tepid on that thought. He's been interesting, but behind closed doors, I'm sure it's different than what you see in the media. But is Jalen Hurts truly the guy? We'll see. This is a team in rebuild. I think they're a team that's if the Chargers have a new coaching staff, but they are not in rebuild. They're on improving on last year. The Eagles, in my opinion, are in rebuild mode, and so the Chargers, I like in this one.
This is interesting. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be a competitive game. It's going to be a fun game. I mean, you got Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, who won right before the Chargers picked Slater. Thank you, Philly. Yes. I think they got Kenneth Gainwell as well. He's a steal that they got. Dickerson, I believe, was their offensive lineman acquisition that they got in the draft. I think round 2.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, if he can, break out. Had a not a great rookie season, but obviously the talent's there.
Yep, curious to see what happens with Zach Ertz. I don't know if he's going to end up being on that team come start of the season. But you're right, it's a team in rebuild mode. The Chargers should win this game, regardless.
Yeah, I agree. So, will be a fun one. Anytime we travel out east, though, there's always that, West Coast to East Coast. For some reason, West Coast teams traveling east never play great. It's just that 10 a.m. wake-up time. But luckily, they still get a 1:05 Pacific start time, so it's a later game. Lucky for them, even though it's back east. So that definitely benefits them. So then they come back home in Week 10 and face Minnesota, who is another one of my sleeper teams, the NFC. Had the worst defense since Mike Zimmer's been their head coach. It will be very improved this year. Daniel Hunter returns. They get, I believe, Anthony Barr was injured, so he'll be coming back. They do some upgrades on the secondary. Say what you want about Kirk Cousins, but he's a very capable quarterback. He's not a burner that's going to take over games, but he's a capable, good NFL quarterback. Their receiving core is great. So this is going to be a tough game that maybe a lot of people on paper or even just looking at last year think this should be an easy win for the Chargers, but I think it's going to be a tough one.
No, this is not an easy win for the Chargers at all. The Vikings were crippled by injuries, especially on defense last year. I mean, Harrison Smith is a stud. Their defensive line is no joke. You definitely know Justin Jefferson and this entire team is going to come out trying to prove something because, Justin Herbert, the rightful offensive rookie of the year, but there were folks saying that Justin Jefferson should have been. But Justin Jefferson balled out. I mean, the dude had one of the best rookie seasons for a receiver ever.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun game. They had Christian Darrisaw fall to them in 20 or 19 or something like that in the draft. And folks were saying the Chargers could maybe get him at 13. They got, Dalvin Cook didn't play much last year. They got weapons. So not an easy game at all. Vikings fans travel well. Skull's going to be full force. Toss up.
Yeah, exactly. Clint Kubiak, enters his first full offseason as the offensive coordinator after his dad, Gary, retires again. So there'll be more succinct there after, the change last year after losing Kevin Stefanski. So, just getting those schemes and stuff involved. So, tough game. It's going to be a tough one. So Minnesota's one of those teams that's always interesting. Every year, I think they're going to be better than they are, but I think finally this year they will be better than they have been. So it'll be a good one.
That's a tough matchup.
So, okay, back to the Rams. It's a workout going back and forth between these screens.
You got one arm with the kid, got one arm with the mouse. This is impressive.
Yeah, did you notice she knocked out?
I did. I think it's your soothing voice, Ryan.
Soothing, that who's that radio station? What, K-Day out here? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
The Delilah. It's like a love, not like love line, but she's like, I don't know.
Wait, please sing that again though.
Delilah. It's like a mid-afternoon to night radio program, and she does like love songs. You call in, like, who are you calling in for? I'm calling in for my husband. Like, he's been I just want to tell him how much I love him. You never listened to that? Heard that?
No, but are you sure that's not like a 2 a.m. call for a completely different reason?
No, because it's not like a love line with Dr. Drew where they're just talking like raunchy sex stories. It's like a sweet little like Sleepless in Seattle, like calling to say you're like
good for them.
Anyway, I don't even know why we got on that topic, but back to the Rams at San Francisco. Huge game here. Niners have had the Rams number. Kyle Shanahan has had Sean McVay's number, and I know Sean McVay absolutely hates that. Sean McVay's been the better coach overall, doesn't have a single losing season, where Kyle Shanahan has 3. Both have been to the Super Bowl and lost. But McVay finally, I think, has his quarterback that he wants, so he'll want to prove something here. But division game, biggest rival that these teams have, always a toss-up. Never can predict.
Do you see, it's week 10. Do you think Trey Lance is starting?
I do. Whether it's by injury or by just play.
Okay.
I think he's starting by now. So, yeah, he'll get his first taste of Aaron Donald.
Last year's Niners team played so hard, considering how gruesome their injuries were all season. I mean, their entire squad, it felt like, was injured. And they were like stud players that were injured. They have a ton of guys coming back. They got Trey Lance, got a new quarterback. They got a good coach. I mean, this is a very good team. Again, this is one of those teams where, aside from the quarterback situation, they're built to win. They might need a little help. I love Ayuk for their wide receiving core. They might need a little help kind of at the wide receiver position. Otherwise, this team's ready. This team's ready. Other than the quarterback, that's the variable. Jimmy Garoppolo is one pass away from winning the Super Bowl. So this team's ready. I'm just hoping that the quarterback play works out. Well, I guess not for you guys, but
yeah, we'll see how guys come back from injury. I think Nick Bosa will start off slow. We saw Bradley Chubb with the Broncos with the same type of injury. Took him a few games to really get back to his pass rushing prowess. I don't think everyone thinking, all of a sudden, Nick Bosa is going to be Nick Bosa out the gate. But by week 10, I think he'll be the Nick Bosa we know and remember, unfortunately for Rams fans. But always a great game, always a toss-up. I love Niners Week on Twitter. It's just the smack talk, the shit talking between Niners and Rams fans is just classic. Even media gets into it, or I guess the blogging media, if you will, gets into it. And there's all these videos coming out and disrespecting one another, and I love it. I'm kind of bummed we have to wait till week 10, but it's okay. It'll be well worth it.
It's a good matchup. You hope that both teams are still healthy because there's so many good storylines. That'll be a good one.
Exactly.
Interdivision rivalry.
And the Rams get a win on their bye. So let's jump back now to the Chargers. Week 11 at home against Pittsburgh.
Here we go. Primetime matchup again, going up against the Steelers. I know terrible towels will be there. But if I think it's going to be very important. The Chargers have potential to shock the world and to be able to get a ton of vibes nationally. If they can be hovering around, 7-3, 6-4, 5-5 going into this one. Actually, I think they'd be on a bye, so they'd be probably 5-4. This is a great, juicy matchup. I have no idea what Big Ben's going to look like this year. Their wide receiving core is fantastic. Their defense always scares the hell out of me. Mike Tomlin always coaches those guys up well. This is, again, I can't stress this enough. Derwin James makes this game so much more attainable. And hell, you can say that about every game. But the secondary, I think, is going to be important here. If Asante Samuel, Strap Harris, Nazir Adderley, Mike Davis, Derwin James, if these guys can all gel together, this will be a game where that will be showcased. Because, the Steelers could throw 50 times this game.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And they're just such an odd team because even last year, they start off like 12-0, 11-0?
Yeah, and they just choked.
Like 4 straight or something. So they're always good, always competitive. I don't think they're truly a Super Bowl contender, but they're still a playoff contender. And it'll be a tough matchup for the Chargers. But, I think they, like you said, if the secondary balls out, I think they'll match up well. And
Prime time, Sunday
night. They played last, 2-3 years ago at the StubHub? At the Digs.
Was it StubHub? The last game I remember was when Derwin James picked him off, and then they ended up winning the game.
Yeah,
it was like they had 3 straight field goals. So it's ridiculous.
yeah, exactly. So I remember where I watched it at. So yeah, they'll get hopefully redemption for that. So then they travel to division rival Denver. Split the series last year. Should have gone 2-0, but Denver had that crazy fourth quarter where Drew Lock looked like the potential that I think he can be. Obviously, he hasn't done that consistently, but tough game. Division game. It's always hard talking about division games because it's always a tough game. But again, on paper, outside of QB, this Denver team is a loaded roster. So it's going to be a fun matchup. Brandon Staley for the first time playing one of his former teams, his mentor, if you will, and Vic Fangio. And so there's going to be a lot. Ronaldo Hill, the defensive coordinator, used to be the Broncos secondary coach. So there are a lot of storylines with this one as well. And should be a fun one. Traveling to Denver is always tough, and they get him later at SoFi later in the season. But always love this matchup.
We've coined the term Drew freaking Lock on Chargers Unleashed.
People hate Drew Lock.
And this is one of the games last year where you just wanted to claw your eyes out at Gus Bradley and how he just lets the scheme on defense just brutal. Yeah. Whether it was lack of execution, whether it was play calling, just
yeah. Joey
Drew Lock
concussion didn't help either, but yeah.
Drew Lock is not a good quarterback. And for 3 quarters, we proved that. And then all of a sudden, all these freak plays happen. And they end up winning the game in the last play. See Drew Lock dancing all over the field, just like wanting to throw up. Drew Lock should... Okay, I'm trying to keep my composure here. Drew Lock is the reason why this team is not going to go to the playoffs. You mentioned it. Other than the quarterback, this team is ready to win a Super Bowl. I mean, they got great wide receivers. Cortland Sutton wasn't even playing last year. You got Jerry Jeudy, who I think is going to have a great second season. Noah Fant, fantastic. I'm not sure how I feel about their running back situation, because it feels kind of funny. Let go of one, then they drafted another one to potentially come in and replace Melvin Gordon, and Melvin Gordon's not happy. The defense is loaded. I mean, they went and got Kyle Fuller from the Bears, and they went and got drafted Patrick Surtain, which I'm like, woo! I don't know why they didn't go Justin Fields. They got Bradley Chubb. They've got Von Miller. They got Justin Simmons. I mean, that defense is loaded. This is going to be a tough game. If Drew Lock is Drew Lock, we should win this game. But this is one of those games where I'm so grateful to have Brandon Staley, because I don't see that happening like it's happened in the past.
No. Brandon Staley was king of, even if you see bad stuff in the first half, the adjustments they make in the second half was monumental, where Gus Bradley was the opposite. It's like, this is working in the first half, let's do the opposite of what's working, and then they melt down in the second half. So Chargers fans should be very happy about that change. Let me ask you this before we move on. You don't think Drew Lock, there's any chance he turns the corner and is a better quarterback in his 19th game? He's only played 18 games.
No. I did not like Drew Lock coming out of college. I don't like Drew Lock in year 1, 2.
44 touchdowns in the SEC.
Okay, there's guys in Hawaii that score 60 touchdowns and do nothing.
Well, yeah, Hawaii. That's the WAC, or the Mountain West. The SEC going up against Alabama.
Drew Lock is whack too.
Touchdowns.
Drew Lock is whack too.
We'll see. I'm probably the one guy, at least in LA, that thinks he's gonna. I'm not saying he's gonna be better than Justin Herbert, but I think he can be a top 15 quarterback. We'll see.
Hell no. Hell no. You are out of your mind.
All right, remember this conversation.
Please book it.
What are we, back to the Rams now?
Back to the Rams.
Okay. Let's here we are after the bye week at Green Bay. This is going to be a very interesting one, because is Aaron Rodgers there or is he not? Tell me, Dan. Is Rodgers playing somewhere else? Is he retired, or is he a Packer?
He is a Packer. Look, all of the smokescreen stuff that happened with Schefter coming up to the draft, which that's a whole different story. I think that was a non-story, to be quite honest. If you think about it, the Packers, everybody talks about, the Packers aren't doing anything to help their quarterback. Who has the best receiver in football?
Yeah,
the Packers. Who has arguably definitely a top 5 running back, Aaron Jones? The Packers. Stop it. They went offensive line help this year. Their offense is not the problem. Now, I think there was talk in terms of just Aaron Rodgers wanted to have more say. I think this is a contract situation. They were in the NFC Championship game last year. And let's put yourself in the mindset of Aaron Rodgers. Where are you going to go that has a better chance of winning a Super Bowl right now than the team that just was a game away from the Super Bowl? Where are you going to go that has an opening? It's not happening. Aaron Rodgers is in a great spot. I think they're going to pay him a boatload of money. He'll stay there. Jordan Love, I think, is an insurance policy. Kind of reminds me of what happened with Garoppolo with the Patriots back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's staying.
Yeah, it's always interesting nowadays how quarterbacks, because we saw Deshaun Watson do this, Russell Wilson a little bit. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't, anyone can do whatever they want, but I always find it interesting how we're in a culture nowadays where quarterbacks get so offended if they don't get to play like pseudo GM and have a say in who gets drafted and who gets signed in the offseason. And I don't have a problem with it. Do what you want, but it's always just like, okay, you see all these guys that are mad, and they're mad mainly because they didn't get to play GM.
Yeah, which is it's also kind of interesting too, because like I feel like Tom Brady, and I guess maybe in a sense Patrick Mahomes, have become that, where like they're consulted with everything, it seems like. It was really cool as a Chargers fan, just watching this year's draft, where you see Justin Herbert like in the war room as they're getting Slater, and he's like fist bump, and everyone's super excited.
That was cool.
Like it's gonna be fun, man. I love this matchup. I think this is gonna be. But you guys, Packers are a great team, dude. Like Packers Rams. I don't know how you guys are gonna win this game. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and it's, after losing to him at Lambeau last year, going back to Lambeau in the regular season, Matt Stafford obviously knows him well, playing him often in the division when he played for Detroit. So that's kind of the wild card and the upgrade there. But it'll be, if Rodgers is there, this is a premier game and a game that will have a lot of playoff implications.
I think they went corner in the draft, right? Round 1?
Yeah, they went corner, yeah, which everyone was laughing like, oh, Rodgers is mad, and they go corner.
Oh, and then you get to go up against Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer, and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Chalk up as a win.
Oh, okay. All right.
Jacksonville, I can't buy into Urban Meyer until I see him.
Mm-hmm.
He's the hot name. He was the sexy coaching hire because of how much money he wanted and what he's done in college, but there's only a few guys that have been like Pete Carroll, and even Pete Carroll took him 2 go-arounds. His first go-around was bad. He went back to college. So not every college coach comes in and knows how to do it in the NFL. And not saying Urban can't, but sitting here in May, I'm not gonna say Jacksonville is gonna be all of a sudden be a night and day different team. Obviously, they get Trevor Lawrence, the Golden Goose.
Hey, they got Tebow. They're winning everything now. They got that winning mentality.
Bring it on, first string tight end, baby. But yeah, win for the Rams.
Okay, I agree.
Simple. What do you think about the Tebow thing? While I pull up this, have a problem with it?
I don't have a problem with it, but let's just call it what it is. Like, I don't think Tebow is coming in to bring a ton of value on the football field. I mean, I don't. I think this is all about a culture thing, and call it what it is. Like,
I mean, why wouldn't you get? Why wouldn't you give him a shot? Dude's an athlete. I mean, he wasn't like he was just sitting on his couch. He's been, in minor league baseball, so he's still working out.
I think people were pissed off because they thought he's gonna be, they're picking him over other players who could be in the NFL. Like, okay, do you really think he's gonna be playing like that much? Like, no, stop.
Yeah. And people here's what I want to say, because I haven't talked about it all, and not that anyone cares about my opinion, but I hear that all the time. Like, that's just not fair. He's taking a roster spot of someone that's worked really hard and blah blah blah. And it's like, the NFL is probably the best in our society at, a meritocracy. Like, you usually earn your spot based on merit. However, anyone that doesn't think there are certain political signings, I'm not saying politics like, our actual politics, but just there's certain signings that happen that aren't based on merit, doesn't talk to players or know football. Once you get past those 5 superstars on your team, it's all about culture fit, who coaches like better, whether you knew someone back in college, whether you were a roommate somewhere else. There's 5 elite players on every team. After that, all these dudes can play. So when you're like, you're taking a spot from this guy, it's like, no, they're all pretty even playing field. And hey, just go prove it.
Yep. Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow, they're best friends essentially.
Yeah. Why not?
I think it's a culture thing. They want guys in that locker room. They don't care if they can play or not. They want guys who are used to winning.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I don't get why everyone was starting to freak out, bringing up his quarterback stats. Like, he's not playing quarterback. He's going to try it as a tight end. I don't even know if it's official or not. So anyway.
No, I think I was watching Matt Money Smith. I was thinking, he had mentioned this. Imagine Gainesville. It's like, I don't forget what he said, but it's basically like 3rd and goal from the 1. Tim Tebow's flexed out wide. You got Trevor Lawrence. Imagine like the mixture of emotions happening with that fan base.
And maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm in the. I really don't think he would be playing a tight end or a split out. If he makes the team, I don't think he'd be like terrible. You're not asking him to play quarterback.
I agree. Not that big a deal.
The dude's an
Non-story.
athlete. Yeah, he's old, but he's still an athlete. He's still 245 pounds and runs like a 4.640. Like,
Yep.
anyway, Chargers, Burrow, Herbert. The matchup we've all been wanting. We didn't get it last year because Tyrod Taylor started the season. Who you got? Chargers are the better team, but everyone's going to talk about the quarterback matchup. That's what this week is all going to be about.
Yep. The top two quarterbacks, in my opinion, of last year's draft. These two teams went kind of in polar opposite directions when it comes to how they can help their franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
The Bengals, they went and got Riley Reif. Great. I mean, he's an above average offensive lineman.
Yep.
They had a chance to get their guy. They had a chance to get Sewell at 4. They go Chase, which again, I think that's the sexy pick. I don't think that's the right pick.
Yep.
You kind of compare and contrast what the Chargers and Bengals have done for their quarterbacks and what is more sustainable. The Chargers went and got like an entirely new offensive line, upgraded substantially, got the second best guy in the draft, went and got the best center in the NFL. They got a great guy in Ibushi. They got a great guy in Filer. I mean, like their offensive line, if Balaga can stay healthy, like they took their weakness and, in my opinion, turned it into a strength. No doubt about it. Oh, yeah. The Bengals, in my opinion, took an offensive line that was the reason they sucked. And they kind of feel maybe a little better. Like a little.
Yeah, barely.
Barely? I mean, they went offensive line, what, round 2 or 3, I believe? I think it was round 2.
So, yeah.
I just don't think that's a winning model, in my opinion. Especially when you got a guy who is that ready to win. Joe Burrow's a stud. Mm-hmm. Anyone who watched him play, for what he did behind that line before he got hurt, the dude's just a winner. So it'll be interesting to see these two teams go up against each other with like the different ways that they brought their roster together this year.
Yeah. And hey, it's hard to get Jamar Chase the ball if your quarterback's on his back. So
yep.
I know they needed weapons. They have no weapons either. Like they're in a tough spot. Like people look at this Chargers team. Chargers were in a good spot. Yeah, they went 7-9. They got a lot of good pieces. Bengals do not.
No.
So Herbert's definitely in the better situation there, and this offseason just proved that. So, beat him 16-13 last year.
Barely. Barely. Randy Bullock shanked a field goal from like 20 yards at the end of the game. And then we should not have won that game.
Like a hammy injury, but then was back next week. Gotta love that.
Amazing. And I think he actually picked a hammy on the wrong leg if you go back and watch.
I think you're right. Like his plant leg.
Yep. Week 14 win next.
Yep, against the Giants, I agree. We talked about him against the Rams. We don't need to bring up too much.
Yep. I like this shot right here, though, Ryan. Like, we got Ryan's head on top of Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
I'm attempting to look like... Oh, this way. I'm tempted to look like I'm Justin Herbert. I think this is it. I think this is the moneymaker right here. This is it. Yeah.
Yeah, it fit the profile.
Yep, totally.
Kind of a weird, lighter shade skin up top and down below, but whatever.
Yeah, also a little bit more muscular up top because you're in much better shape than Aaron Donald.
Yeah, exactly. My neck bulge is protruding compared to Donald.
My neck bulge.
Okay, we don't need to talk about these much because we went into all this semantics when they play the first time, but we get back-to-back Cardinals and Seahawks again for the Rams. Division games. Obviously, we don't know what they'll do in the first week, but you got division games. You have to always split. You have to go 3-3 division, I think, as a mandatory thing if you want to be a playoff team. I'm sure I don't have it in front of me. I'm sure there's been a team that's gone under 500 in the division and still made the playoffs, but I'm sure it's a very low percentage. So you got to go 3-3 or better in your division. So you get back-to-back games again. Cardinals will be now the third team they face. Seahawks, the fourth team, or the fifth team, excuse me, and then they get the Niners at the end of the season. So I'll just say that about that, because we talked about all the players and whatnot.
Yep.
I don't know if you need to add anything.
Nope.
Yep, that works. All right, moving on.
That'll do.
Let's get to wrapping this up. We're getting to week Get the Chiefs again. So I don't know if you need to mention that. And then we get the poorest Texans.
One thing I will say about Week 15 primetime matchup. This is probably going to be my favorite game of the entire year. If both teams, big asterisk, if both teams can be healthy, this has the opportunity to be the game of the year in the entire NFL. Primetime matchup against the Chiefs at home. Arguably could have AFC West title on the line. My guess is Chargers are going to be like a game or two behind the Chiefs. Pivotal matchup. If they can go into this game and somehow win it with the Texans right afterwards, this is a great way to start kind of getting into a slide into the playoff mode.
Love it. Yeah. Oh, if they can, if they take one from the Chiefs, which they should have last year, that, in my opinion, that'll be enough for them to be a playoff team. I think how they play in the division, but specifically the Chiefs, they can take one from the Chiefs. I think they'll go minimum 3-3 in the division. I think they'll go minimum. But who are they going to sweep? Are they going to sweep someone? As long as they take one from the Chiefs, I think that'll be very important for their run.
Yeah, and scroll real quick. Scroll back up on that real fast. This is where I think the pivotal part of the season is, because you mentioned how important it was to go 3-3 at the beginning of that. Chargers go Bengals, Giants, Chiefs, Texans, Broncos.
Yeah,
the Chargers could easily go 4-1.
Yep, they should
easily.
Go 4-1.
They should go 4-1.
Bengals, Giants, and Texans should all be wins.
Yep. If they can get to that point, week 17, 18, both in division rivals, those are going to be crazy. Those are going to be crazy.
Easily, last two. And let me just say this too: we're not giving the Giants a lot of credit. I do think the Giants are going to be a tough team. I think Joe Judge has already built a culture there where they're going to be a competitive team. I just think the Chargers and the Rams are both better teams. So I think that's why we didn't talk too much about it. But not saying it's going to be blowouts. It's not going to be when they play the Texans. That should be just like chalk that up. That's a win. Giants going to be a hard fought battle. I just like them better.
The problem with the Chargers, though, and Chargers fans know this all too well, whenever they go up against, like, the problem with the Chargers is in the past, they have always gone up against inferior opponents and have played down to the competition. Rarely do you see the Chargers blow out anyone, and they should blow out these teams. Should they win? Absolutely. Are the opponents any good compared to Chargers? No. But, again, this is a culture, this is a coaching shift. We'll see how that changes with Brandon Staley and team.
Yep, and I think it hopefully will change for the better. So, but all we can do right now is hope until we see it. So, all right, let's wrap up the Rams schedule. We'll hit all three, and then we can end with the Chargers. So like you were just talking about the Chargers schedule, that 5-game stretch, very easily being able to go 4-1 or 3-1 in the 4-game stretch. This ending to the Rams schedule is brutal. Getting the Cardinals and Seahawks back-to-back division games. Then you get the Vikings, who I talked about as kind of a sleeper pick for the NFC.
Man.
Then at Baltimore, and you wrap up against your division rival Niners. Like
that defensive haul is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a gauntlet of 5 games, and this is a part where the Rams could be sitting at a good record, and if they slip up a little bit down the stretch here, not only could they drop from a 1 or 2 seed down to a 6 or 7 seed. They could slide right out of the playoffs because they're playing teams, and the Vikings are going to be vying for a wild card spot. The Niners will be vying for either the division or a wild card spot. Obviously, the Seahawks and Cardinals both in their division. So it is going to be just a gauntlet of an end here. And I won't go into too much games. We've talked about all these teams already. But that stretch, those last 5 games, you really want the Rams to be sitting at, I'm trying to do record in my head, they'll have played 12 games there. So you really want them sitting at, at least 4 or 5 games above 500, preferably more. Because if they lose 2 of those games, basically to make the playoffs, they need to be sitting at least, I think, 10-7 or 11-6 in this NFC. So tough stretch into the season.
The one thing I will say about your stretch, I completely agree. And I think what makes it double down hard is every one of these games is actually like a tough game. Like there aren't any of these games where it's going to be a barn burner where it's going to be like 42-39. You're going up against like studded defenses. The Ravens defense, nasty. Niners defense, nasty. Vikings defense, healthy, nasty. Got Buda Baker. I mean, hell, even on the Cardinals, they got studs. You're not going to get a break week after week after week, and it takes its toll. I hope you guys, again, Sean McVay, I think it's going to be a huge coaching, not issue, but an opportunity for them to kind of showcase how they can kind of get their guys ready week to week. those defenses are no joke. Matt Stafford, that's the reason you got him.
Yep, exactly. That's time for him to put up he's not a big talker, but no playoff wins. Obviously, we know about how he is in big time games. So this is his opportunity down the stretch to prove it was the right call to give 2 first-round picks and a third and Jared Goff for Matt Stafford, and he can prove that right here in this 5-week gauntlet as they go into the playoffs, hopefully with a lot of momentum. Because if they do good in that stretch, then you're like thinking, this is the Super Bowl team in the NFC. If they can go through that 5-game gauntlet, we'll see.
And by the way, we haven't got a chance to talk about this, Ryan. Everyone talked about when the Rams traded for Matt Stafford and how much they had to give up for him. I get it. You gave up a lot. That was 1,000% a great trade for the Rams.
Yeah.
I would do that 10 out of 10 times. And honestly, for both teams in that trade, I would do it 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, it worked out for both, I think.
Yep.
Detroit's in a full rebuild, and they got a lot of assets. Got a quarterback they're familiar with, Brad Holmes being the GM, and he's the one that drafted Jared Goff. And yeah, I said this when the draft first happened. Anytime you can upgrade the most important position on your team, unless you're giving up 5 first-round picks, you do it. Because it's like people put too much value on first-round draft picks nowadays, and the Rams have figured out draft value versus draft assets, and that's why they've had 4 straight winning seasons, 3 out of 4 playoff seasons. Yeah.
Now, I will say, people put too much stock in first-round draft picks when they are not looking for a quarterback. Like, if you're only looking for a quarterback, if that's the thing you're missing, if you're not picking in the top 10, like, it's hard to get that franchise quarterback. And so, whatever. I mean, who cares if they're not picking a first-round pick till 2034? It's fine. They have a quarterback.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Other than quarterback, yeah. Because you have to get real lucky to get a guy like Russell Wilson in the 3rd round or Drew Lock in the 2nd round.
Drew Brees. Oh, get out of here. Drew freaking Lock.
All right, let's wrap up the show with the end of the Chargers schedule here. Is this going to be a playoff team? Are they just going to miss it? Ending against the division, 2 huge games that will be going against potentially teams fighting for a wild card spot in the Broncos and the Raiders. Let's hear it, Dan. How did the Chargers finish up?
Chargers are going to... Oh, okay. So I'm known on the Chargers Unleashed podcast as the optimistic one of the two. My co-host is sometimes the pessimist, although he has brought me up or down to earth both ways.
That's why you're a good co-host.
Drew freaking Lock, no way we're going to lose that game.
We'll both be at that game. Absolutely
yes,
fine.
sir. That's right. And
New Year's Day the 2nd.
That was going to be fun. I can't wait. It's going to be good.
Yeah,
we'll have some beer together. Vegas, that's going to be a tough one. Imagine, like, we talked about this in the last episode.
For all the marbles. That game could be for all the marbles. When in your in.
Where you hope, regardless of if you're a Chargers fan, Raiders fan, you hope that this game is meaningful.
Yeah.
Whether the Chargers are hoping to spoil the Raiders' playoff chances or vice versa, or hell, they both could be vying for playoff chances, and this could be Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, or Broncos. All 4 of them could be vying for that second playoff spot. Man, it's going to be an exciting... I'm hoping that this is a healthy, exciting matchup, because what a way to close out the season, back-to-back, in division, going up against your bitter rivals in the Raiders Week 18, which is weird still, saying Week 18.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't messed it up yet, but it's still strange.
It screws me. You know what screws me up about that is when you have to go through, like, the Fuller team record. Like, it's going to take me forever to remember, like, it's not going to be a 9-7 thing anymore.
Oh, yeah. The math is what screws me up. Now I have to actually think before, like, okay, yeah, they're 11-5 team. I'm like, oh, wait, no, they're 11-6.
Carry the 1.
Yeah, I'm like, great. We may have to go to Vegas for this game, though. In the season in Vegas. Whether we're at the game or not, at least just be on the strip. Maybe we do a little, some live recording there.
Oh, not a bad idea. Otherwise, we're paying like $1,200 a spot for the
I don't know if we're going to the stadium because but LAFB takes over the strip. It may need to happen. So, all right, man. Well, we made it through. A little longer than usual, but we're going over 34 games. Take some time.
It does. Now, okay, predictions, Ryan. At the end of the season, all said and done, which one of these teams are playoff bound?
So we said at the very beginning of the show, I said I like the Rams' chances a little better, just a little more continuity, a little more known. and I'm going to stick by that. But I think, and I said this back before the draft, I said this before free agency, I just said this when the coaching hires happened. I think both these teams will be playoff teams. I'm going to stand by it. I, as well, on my show, am the glass half full optimist, maybe to a fault sometime. But the Rams are a Super Bowl contender. Truly believe that. They're a top 3 team in the NFC. And the Chargers, especially with the 7th team in the AFC going, they went 7-9 last year with a porous offensive line and a below-average coaching staff. You upgraded both of those. Yes, there will be growing pains, absolutely. You have a better offseason program. You have one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. You added weapons on offense. You added weapons on defense. They're a playoff team as well.
For how bad the Chargers were last year, coaching, execution, play calling, timeout usage, injuries, you name it. For that team to go 7-9, no, I know they were the last 4. To go 7-9 with arguably the worst special teams in history, the worst offensive line that I can remember.
Yep.
Probably the worst coaching decisions I've seen in years. That shows you the potential of this team.
Yep.
Without Derwin James, without Drew Tranquill, without Joey Bosa for some games, without Melvin Ingram for some games. Desmond King's gone.
Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler's out for 8 weeks. We got Strap Harris out for 6 weeks. I mean, the team was decimated.
Yeah. Duct tape. And they still win. So you got to give some credit to Anthony Lynn and his crew. There was bad decisions.
They held it down. They held it down.
But they upgraded with Brandon Staley 100%. And yeah, I'm just excited to see how it unfolds. The biggest, I don't want to keep this going forever and ever, but the biggest competition, Dan, for me right now, sitting in May for this Chargers team, is their kicking competition. Who's going to be the kicker? Because there are going to be games decided by a field goal.
I know.
That's the difference between being 7-10. I got the record right there.
Look at you.
And 11-6.
You know,
they brought some kickers in to compete with Badgley.
I want Badgley to be the kicker, but I also was happy that they brought in kickers to put a little fire under him.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a mental thing for Badgley, which I hope that can get fixed, and maybe Brandon Staley can help. Who knows? He was like automatic from anything under, I think, 41 yards. But anything over 40, like in the 40 to 50 range, he's horrible.
Yeah.
There's no reason why a guy could be that good and that bad, other than a mental thing.
Yeah, he's got the leg strength, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hoping that Badgley is the kicker. But I love the fact that they brought in guys today. You know what? Screw it. You got to win this job. We're not giving it to you. And for good reason. That kicker was... He missed some really timely kicks last year. Yeah, and I think back to... Oh, man. That game against the Saints where Justin Herbert throws like a 40-yard bomb. Mike Williams, I think, on 4th down. Ready to go. Kick a winning field goal from like 50. You got to win it. Shanks it. Ends up losing in overtime. Same thing. Kansas City against the Raiders in Vegas. Missed multiple, but everyone forgets because Justin Herbert drove him down in overtime and ran it in. But didn't he miss 2 in a row in Vegas? I think he did. And it was just... So again, it's the worst special teams in the NFL for a reason. Yeah, worst punter, I think, by coverage. Worst gunners. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see how that unit improves. So yeah, special teams and the kicking game is one to watch, but that's a whole another episode. So,
but good luck to you and your Rams. Good luck to you and your Rams this year, sir.
Yeah, Rams will be improved, I think. And they also had bad special teams. It's ironic. I've talked with Frosty about this. I talked with Steven about this. The similarities between these two teams. I know the records were different. Rams were in the playoffs. They were seen as a much better team, but the similarities between the two teams and what they struggled with, what pieces they lost or what they needed. It's really weird being here in the same city and they have such similar, almost unified in a way, sharing a stadium. Both had tons of struggles on the special teams. So that'll be a unit the Rams need to improve too if they want to truly be a Super Bowl contender. And they brought in Joe DeCamillis, who's a great special teams coordinator that hopefully can shore that up for them. But they kicked the through. They're on their 4th kicker by week 6.
Good Lord. I don't think I even realized that. Yeah, the fight for LA is on and popping. How are you feeling about the last question? How are you feeling about the fan situation for the Rams?
Oh, good. I think they're in a similar boat. Have almost sold all their season tickets, and I haven't seen what they've done on single game tickets yet, if it's sold out officially or not. But yeah, I think it'll be. The Rams fans are great. I think they'll be good. It's just it's an LA thing. Like, fans are going to come here. They want to come. You want to leave Green Bay and Minnesota in November when it's 6 degrees, and you can come here when it's 65. It's just a fact. So when people try to make that a narrative, I can't stand it, because it's like, look where we live. Look at the stadium we now have.
Yeah.
And if you have season tickets and you bought them for $60 a piece, and you can sell them for $900 each,
you can make up your entire season ticket cost in one game.
Like it people say it's bad fanhood, but I'm not saying I would do that, first of all. But if you're a dad and you have those season tickets to go with your 8-year-old son, and you've already gone to 4 games, and you can make back your entire season tickets by selling one game, a lot of people do that.
Yep. And honestly, I mean, you can't look. I have season tickets. I'm hoping to be at every game. I think there may be one that I'm not able to go to.
Love it.
Put it this way, if every season ticket holder went to all but one game, and they sold one, like, who cares? That's fine.
Yeah. The big thing for both these teams is that they need I think the Chargers have 9 home games and the Rams have 8, I think, right? I think the Chargers get an extra.
Yeah, we gained one. We lost the preseason one, but gained that 7th or that 9th game against the Vikings.
Yeah, and the Rams have the extra away game. The key for both these teams is the majority of those home games, they need to have majority of their fans, just to kill this stupid narrative. Yep. If it's like the majority of opposing fans, and this narrative is just going to keep going on. But as long as the majority, like when the Chargers play, the Steelers, maybe the Vikings, if there's some more opposing fans, then you know what, so be it. But as long as 6 or there's 9 home games, as long as 5 or 6 of those are majority Chargers fans, then we can just put that to bed. Put that narrative to bed and just say, you know what, it is what it is. We're in LA, but the fan hoods are real. Like, they're real, which we know they are.
Yep.
We know both Rams Nation and Chargers Nation are legit fan bases. It's just this dumb national narrative, and
it's simple economics. And the last thing I will say, it's so easy for folks to say, oh, Chargers fans don't exist, and Chargers fans are bad fans because they sell their tickets. For anyone who's saying that, put yourself in the position of a season ticket holder. You've gone to 7 or 8 of these games. You can't go because there's a wedding your family has to go to or whatever. And you're able to make, $700, $500, $800 on one game? You're telling me that you're not going to do that? You're just going to let the game go, not sell them? What are you going to do? Like, I get it. Now, there's extremes. People will sell all their tickets. Like, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
You got to, guys, like, pump the brakes a little bit on this. Like, just...
And I think we both said this twice now. Last thing I'll say on it, but and what people don't realize, and this is we're gonna see this in Vegas a lot too. I don't know why no one's talking about the Raiders. The Raiders are gonna have
they're screwed
fun in Vegas, and for this reason too. Not just fans buying season tickets and making a buco bucks, but in both these markets, Vegas and LA, you have entertainment business, advertising agencies, all these big companies that have bought suites and season tickets for clients that they all sell.
Raiders stadium is going to be absurd.
There's going to be, I don't know if they'll have a single whole game with more fans. And I'm waiting for people to start talking about that because no one has. And
the Raiders have a great fan base. But
and I think that's probably why, because Raider Nation is known as like an elite fan base.
But watch when those tickets, when the Chargers had that StubHub issue and everyone was talking about their fans, you couldn't get a ticket for under like $130.
No, I went to 3 games at StubHub. Every game I paid for over $250.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Now watch what happens when the Raiders. How ironic that the Raiders are now going to have to go through that exact same deal.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how much people talk about it. So, well, Dan, I appreciate you, man. We got a nice long live. I appreciate everyone for putting up with my crying daughter and sleeping. Dude, this is how long the show's been. My daughter went through a meal next to me. She took a nap on my shoulder. She destroyed the entire house. If you look at my bedroom floor, it is just in chaos over here. I smell a diaper on her. We've been through like 7 phases of childhood in this one show.
I mean, this is good. I'm impressed with you as a father being able to roll through all those punches. You got her on your shoulder. She's crying. She's laughing. She's grabbing the mic. She's sleeping. Good for you, sir. That takes talent.
And you kept your composure too. It's hard to continue your thought when you've got a screaming baby coming through your headphones. So well done to you as well.
That's okay. You always got those chirping fans. There's always got those guys. What do they call them? The peanut gallery.
Peanut gallery.
But yours was beautiful. She was great, and she was very kind.
Well, thank you. Well, we'll say our goodbyes right now then. So everyone, thanks for tuning in. This was LAFB Live every every Saturday at 9 a.m. Make sure to tune in on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Dan will definitely be back, I think. So thanks for filling in, doing a great job, and going over these schedules with me.
Of course, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I finished my cup of coffee. I'm ready for breakfast now, man.
Yeah, I'm ready for cup number 3. I've been up since 6, so let's get it.
All right, go give her a nap. Give yourself a cold one. Have some Brewery X. And enjoy the day, my friend.
I think I'm ready for a beer. Good call. Wife's away. Daddy can drink a little bit with the baby. Not let the baby drink, but I think we're good to go. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, guys. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Appreciate you. Let's talk on Twitter. You can follow Dan at Chargers Homer. Follow myself at Ryan Dyrud, LAFB. LAFB Network, the main account at LAC_Unleashed is Dan's podcast. And like I said, enter that giveaway pinned on the top of the LAFB Network profile. A few more days to do it. Come hang out with us at SoFi for an elite VIP